Good morning, and Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Regent Bailing.
Here.
Regent Peterson.
Here.
Regent Atwell. Regent Bechtel.
Here.
Regent Delgado.
Here.
Regent Grebe.
Here.
Regent Hall.
Here.
Regent Jones.
Here.
Regent Klein.
Here.
Regent Milner.
Yeah, here.
Regent Mueller.
Here.
Regent Peterson.
Here.
Regent Plant.
Here.
Regent Ring.
Here.
Regent Stanford Taylor.
Here.
Regent Tiedemann.
Here.
Regent Tyler.
Here.
Regent Whitburn.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we consider any items on today's agenda, are there board members who wish to declare any conflicts of interest with any matters on today's open session agenda?
Yes, President Bailing, I'm going to recuse myself from the 3M contract when it comes before finance.
Thank you, Regent Milner. Madam Clerk, if we could note that for the record, the declaration of conflict of interest, and thank you. Moving forward, next on our agenda before the board is the minutes of the December 6th and 7th, 2018 Board of Regents meeting, as well as the January 10th, 2019 Executive Committee meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and thank you. Board members, also before you this morning is the report of the Wisconsin Technical System Board that's been provided. Any questions or comments on that report? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and accept that report. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment and again thank Chancellor Blank and her staff. They always make us feel at home on campus. And Chancellor, thank you so much for you and all of your team's hard work. Turning forward, I'd also like to call the board's attention to some news that came out earlier this week. According to just released figures, a record number of students graduated from the UW system last year. 36,825 graduated, which is a 13% increase from 10 years ago. Furthermore, the number of students of color who graduated, 4,919, is also a record. I think this shows that the system and this board is meeting the needs of employers across the state and satisfying our educational mission. I'd also like to thank President Cross and our chancellors. This is tremendous news. They're great metrics. And chancellors, good work. Thank you. I'd also like to take an opportunity to remind Regents of the UW System's Research in the Rotunda. This is a celebration now that's occurred for 16 years, which happens in the Capitol Rotunda. It's a celebration of undergraduate research and is an impressive showcase of student researchers and their faculty advisors. Since it's in the Capitol, it's also a good time to do some legislative visits on behalf of and in conjunction with the system. So I'm hopeful that as many of you can join me on April 17th in the Capitol Rotunda. With that, that concludes my report this morning, and I turn it over to President Cross.
Thank you, Regent President Bailing. I'm going to start my report today by putting students first. For my student spotlight, I'm pleased to welcome Mackenzie Straub, a freshman at UW-Madison, and I would like to invite Chancellor Blank to introduce Mackenzie and to say a few words.
Mackenzie Straub is a freshman at UW-Madison, grew up in Sister Bay, which is a little more than halfway up the Door County Peninsula, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself and her studies here, but I want to say a few things about her that she won't say. Mackenzie was valedictorian of her high school class, editor-in-chief of the school newspaper, captain of the varsity girls cross-country team, and a Badger Girls State representative, among many other things. I'm not sure quite how you fit that all in. She is excelling here at UW-Madison as a freshman. Mackenzie is a recipient of the Bucky's Tuition Promise Scholarship, which is a program in its first year that I mentioned yesterday. It promises students upfront that if they're admitted to UW-Madison and their family is in the bottom half of the income distribution in Wisconsin, we'll put a funding package together that will provide them with tuition and fees for 4 years. Mackenzie is one of nearly 800 students from 65 of the 72 Wisconsin counties who are Bucky's Tuition Promise students here. She's expressed her gratitude for the support. You'll hear her say that, but it's also clear that we are ones who should be grateful that she's a member of our community. Mackenzie.
Good morning. My name is Mackenzie Straub, and I am in my first year here at UW-Madison. I'm from Sister Bay, Wisconsin, a tourist town in Door County. Moving to Madison was a big change after living in a small town my whole life. I went to the same school from kindergarten through graduation with the same 40 kids who quickly became like family. My community is something I dearly miss, as it was so small that you knew everyone. However, coming to Madison has been a nice and welcoming change. The community and its culture has kept me very busy between volunteering at a local after-school program, walking State Street with friends and family, and of course, the classes. The academics and professors that UW has is an incredible thing to experience. I go to class looking forward to what new information I will learn and how I can apply it to my future or teach others about it. I am also fortunate to be a part of the first class able to receive Bucky's Tuition Promise. I am able to come to this great university without the economic hardship that tuition can put on any individual. My dad moved to Madison with his business partner to open his second men's clothing store on State Street, the Jazzman. He lived here until his first wife passed away at a young age. He needed a change and sold his half of the store to move to Sister Bay and open another shop. This is where he met my mom, a UW alum, and started our family. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal cancer in the beginning of summer 2013. He was able to keep his store open through the busy season with just the help of my mom, as they had no employees. In fall of 2014, shortly after my sister began her freshman year of college at Carroll University and my first year of high school, he passed away. This was a tremendous loss for my family and my community, with it being so small. Additionally, my dad's store was our main source of income, with my mom only teaching part-time as a substitute at the elementary school. Thus, Bucky's Tuition Promise has relieved much financial stress on my mom and we know it was a sign from my dad watching out for us. He was a very important reason for me to come to Madison. Not only did we frequently visit Madison for games and to see old friends of my parents growing up, but knowing that he spent a portion of his life here made me feel comforted coming here as well. I came to Madison with the intention of teaching high school chemistry after I graduated. But after 2 months of volunteering at the neighborhood house with elementary-aged children, I realized that this was what I was meant to do. Growing up, I had always wanted to be an elementary teacher like my mom, and I am realizing this again. I just applied to the Early Childhood Education program with a certification in English as a second language. If I am admitted, I will begin the 2-year program next fall through the School of Education. Through the program, I will get the opportunity to be in 4 different classrooms throughout the 4 semesters, something I am very much looking forward to. I'm excited to work with the elementary schools of Wisconsin to give back to a system that has given me so much. My experience at UW-Madison has been wonderful. I have learned so much, not just about the environment, algebra, or Spanish, but about myself. UW-Madison is a very unique and diverse university, and one that I'm happy I chose to attend.
What do you say after that?
Thank you.
Yes. Impressive, Mackenzie, impressive. Now for some news from around the system. So I draw your attention to the screen.
biomedical engineering undergraduates at UW-Madison work in teams over multiple semesters to solve real-world problems. Students recently showcased their work, including prototypes for bone transplants, post-surgery limb compression, and kidney stone prevention. To help move research from lab to market, students also practice short pitches to entrepreneurs at the end of their senior year. The UW-La Crosse Clinical Doctoral Program in Physical Therapy was granted the maximum 10 years of accreditation. The National Commission recognized UWL's comprehensive PT curriculum and impressive 100% board exam pass rate, along with clinical and service opportunities for students and faculty to get involved in research and the community. UW Parkside continued its 50-year celebration with a record-setting number of graduates at winter commencement. Foxconn executive Dr. Alan Young delivered the keynote address. Chancellor's Award recipient Brenna Eves encouraged nearly 400 of her fellow classmates to celebrate their accomplishments, and Regent Michael Grebe commended graduates on behalf of the entire UW system. UW Green Bay Business Administration major Skyla Asen graduated in December debt-free by creating 2 side businesses as part of her family's Christmas tree farm. This student entrepreneur paid her way through college by working hard and heeding her grandmother's advice to make each hour in a day count. She hopes her story can inspire others. A new Black Cultural Center recently opened at UW-Eau Claire after months of planning by a network of students, faculty, and staff. The new center brings to life a need expressed by Black students for a space where they could flourish in their own shared environment. Research shows that creating such spaces on campus greatly contributes to underrepresented students' success. At UW-Whitewater, a record number of students participated in the Hired Before Graduation social media campaign. Students who landed a job or earned admission to graduate school before mid-year commencement were invited to have their photos taken and posted to social media in what has become a highly anticipated and celebrated tradition. UW Superior held a naming and dedication ceremony for the William Pope Wright Jr. Student Center last fall. The refurbished space was named after Dr. Wright, a beloved former UW Superior professor and artist who was also the first African-American professor at UW Superior. The goal of the center is to provide a welcoming space and programming for underrepresented minority students. UW Stout has collaborated with the Mabel Tainter Center for the Arts to create the Red Cedar Film Festival in Menominee, which will debut in July. The downtown festival venues will include UW Stout's historic Harvey Hall Theater and involve university students majoring in entertainment design and video production. Organizers hope the festival gives an economic boost to the city and region while also promoting UW Stout. Faith Hatch is singing the praises of the 2018 UW System Restructuring Plan and the new opportunities it is providing for students. This UW Stevens Point Fine Arts major is taking advantage of courses led by Associate Professor of Music Timothy Buchholz at the new Wausau Branch campus. She is pleased that her performance course, Jazz Central Voices, now counts toward her major. Last month, UW River Falls Athletics was honored with the 2019 Award for Diversity and Inclusion, co-sponsored by the NCAA and Minority Opportunities Athletic Association. The department offers comprehensive, forward-thinking initiatives that enhance culture and student success, not only in athletics, but across the entire campus. UW River Falls is the only Division III university to receive the award since its inception in 2013. At its annual Employee Recognition Luncheon, UW-Platteville celebrated the amazing career of one of its professors. Dr. Marilyn Tufte reflected on her 50 years as a biology professor on campus. During her tenure, she designed her own laboratory in Babel Hall, and 40 years later is now helping with the redesign. This popular professor believes fervently in creating a friendly, helpful, and caring environment on campus. Last fall at UW-Oshkosh was a time for sharing and healing. 50 years ago, 94 African American students were arrested and expelled after demanding improved experiences for students of color. The campus invited these students to return for mid-year commencement and an emotional remembrance event. Chancellor Levick presented Sheila Knox with an honorary doctorate and recognized other Oshkosh 94 members as Chancellor's Medallion honorees. UW-Milwaukee has again been recognized as one of the top research universities in the nation. The university's $58 million of research last year explored everything from the farthest reaches of space to the inner workings of the human brain. From futuristic 3D movies of viruses to the energy potential of seaweed, UWM officially earned its status as an R1 research university 3 years ago.
Well, as you can see, there are some really exciting things happening around this system, and it's a window into some of the things we do, and we hope that that enlightens the board as well as the public as some exciting stuff. Next, to give us an update on UW Systems restructuring project, I'm going to ask Carleen Van de Zan, Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs and Educational Innovation, to present, as she has been our primary contact for the HLC restructuring matter. Carleen?
Thank you, President Cross. Just to give you a timeline of where we are in this very important review, as you recall, we came to this board and talked about the visit that took place on December 3rd and 4th. Since that time, each of the chancellors at the receiving institutions have received a draft report about the findings. That report will be finalized by a vice president of the Higher Learning Commission, and the next step would be to have the report finalized by the Institutional Action Committee at the Higher Learning Commission. We do anticipate that next month we will be hearing about the final decision of the report and the findings. At this time, we would like to highlight some of the strengths of the report and areas of concern, because we have more detail. Strengths were found in leadership, the strong collaboration exhibited across the system involving this board as well, the role and support of the Board of Regents, the detailed planning and execution of those plans at the receiving institutions, the quality and content of our memoranda of understanding and our institutional statements, meeting compliance, the accountability, and the accountability that is taking place at this moment that I am able to share with you as a board, the findings. The flexibility that we have provided the receiving institutions to integrate branch campuses into their local planning and reorganization, the support across the regions of the state, and the many ways that this work demonstrates campuses' compliance with the HLC criteria. Leadership. The team recognized the strong forward-thinking leadership of the UW system leadership and the Board of Regents to do this restructuring. The team found a strong commitment and support across each institution and the system. There's a willingness to commit, to listen, and to have accountability at the UW system. And they did recognize that this restructuring was accomplished to maintain quality across all regions of the UW system. In particular, they found that collaboration was vibrant across the system, and we felt that was important to reflect that to you today. There are high levels of engagement across all of the system offices and across the campuses involved in the restructuring. And there are plans for further collaboration. As you recall, we have plans for Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 2 would start July 1st, 2019. The Board of Regents, those involved in the visit, showed the solid understanding and support of why restructuring was necessary and the details of the restructuring. The accountability and the desire to stay informed about the progress of restructuring was noted by the committee. And there was a continuous focus on longstanding issues. The team noted that the issues of financial viability, enrollment, have been ongoing concerns with the system, and the system took action on those concerns. The detailed planning and execution, the team viewed the planning as very detailed, and the execution has gone smoothly. Now, some of our campuses know the hundreds of decisions that have been made, but the impression was that things are rolling out very well. And there's a high level of awareness and understanding of what needs to happen and a deep commitment to the goals of the plan. The memoranda of understanding and institutional statements clearly demonstrated to the team that the HLC criteria are being met. One of the things the team talked about several times during their visit was the degree of latitude provided to the receiving institutions to implement and to integrate the branch campuses into their distinctive cultures on the campus. And there is accountability noted at the system level and also at the campus levels. We have a dashboard that describes all of the actions that need to take place, what has been completed, and what still needs to be completed. The support across the regions of the state, the restructuring allows the receiving institution to have increased opportunities to be involved with their service regions, and in many cases to expand their service regions. This allows the institutions to respond to not only the educational, but the economic development needs of their region. And it now brings opportunities for talent development and educational programs to those smaller communities where many of the branch campuses are located. Lastly, the team found that nothing would put the institutions at risk of falling out of compliance with HLC criteria or the eligibility requirements. And this is a very strong statement and exactly what we were looking for during this review. However, there are some concerns that apply not only to the receiving institutions, but I think that every institution would note these concerns. They have to do with 4 areas: student services staffing, enrollment challenges, the need for clear communication, and financial challenges. So I'll go into some detail about those. For student service staffing, we realized that these areas have already been hit by budget reductions. And that was true of the branch campuses and at many of the receiving institutions and other institutions in our system that are not a part of the restructuring. So the institutions and system are very aware of the need to rebuild these critical services. And without this rebuilding and support, the institutions will not be able to meet HLC Criterion 3D, which is stated as the institution provides support for student learning and effective teaching. And again, this is most likely widespread across all of our campuses. More importantly than meeting the Criterion 3D, without the additional support and attention to this area, it may hinder students' ability to be successful and faculty and staff's ability to ensure that success for students. Enrollment challenges, I know that this board has studied these and heard about these as well. Enrollment challenges remained a main theme throughout the interviews that the team conducted, and restructuring brought a renewed interest to this challenge. Leadership is attuned. We demonstrated that, I believe, during the visit and in our documentation, and the team noted that institutions are vigorously addressing this challenge. The need for clear communication, as in any initiative on a campus, there are those who are heavily involved, they're very informed. Participants who aren't as involved aren't as informed. So the commission listened to the statements of students who still expressed some confusion or concern about what was going on. So we have met and have a plan in place for more communications using multiple channels and messaging appropriate to the target audience, in particular the students and faculty at the branch campus. This is important because we want to be able to realize the benefits of restructuring, and that each student, faculty, and staff at those branch campuses and at the receiving institution come to understand the benefits and the technicalities of restructuring. Financial challenges, a concern remains among those who were interviewed for the sustainability of having the branch campuses open. The issues are well-defined and understood by campus leadership and institution business officers. And it was noted by the team that leadership demonstrated an in-depth awareness of issues in higher education business models. That was a very good finding. Another area of concern, and I believe this came out very clearly in the interviews with faculty and staff, is that there is a concern for compensation across four-year and two-year institutions and the inequity, I should say, of that compensation. And financial officers, according to the team, are engaged in ongoing planning and planning for this framework. HLC noted at the conclusion of their report the high degree of collaboration and commitment, and that the collaboration and commitment are noteworthy throughout the restructuring efforts.
I'm assuming that's the end, Carlene?
That is the
it?
end,
Okay.
and waiting for questions.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Carlene. We appreciate that feedback. And as you noted, those concerns, all of us are aware of those and working on them. Thank you. Now I'd like to give a brief update from the federal relations front. On January the 28th, the UW system submitted comments to the U.S. Department of Education regarding the proposed Title IX rules. The UW system engaged in this issue because we take seriously, obviously, our obligations to provide support to students and employees who allege sexual assault and harassment. We also take seriously our responsibility to provide robust due process protections to students and employees accused of misconduct. We believe there are some parts of the proposed rule that may help higher education combat sexual harassment and assault. However, other parts of the proposed rule cause serious concerns or need further clarification. Our comments are intended to provide a practitioner viewpoint to assist the Department of Education in developing a rule that will be workable for all parties. We will continue to work closely with our campus stakeholders and national associations to engage in the rulemaking process. Other news from the Federal Relations Office. This past September, the UW system reconvened the UW System Federal Relations Council after several years of inactivity. The Federal Relations Council is comprised of members of the Board of Regents, chancellors, provosts, deans, faculty, students, and others representing each campus of the UW system. The group will discuss and has been discussing what's most important to our institutions and how we can be even more proactive and coordinated in our federal relations activities. We will hear a report from the Federal Relations Council at our March board meeting. On the state relations front, UW System's state relations team and I have been briefing legislators on our budget request, and the overall response has been very positive. Chancellors are also engaging with local legislators, highlighting the compensation request, campus capital needs, and the critical program and student support efforts funded by our campuses' capacity building initiatives. And you'll be hearing more about those here in a few minutes. Our chancellors and their teams are also partnering with local economic development groups as they travel to Madison to lobby legislators. We've had several of those and several more are yet to come. We are also actively engaging with the Evers administration. We've had productive conversations with his team about our budget, and we're also beginning to engage with individual cabinet members. We recently had the opportunity to meet with Department of Administration Secretary Joel Brennan and his team to discuss ways we can work together. In March, we will be joining DADCAP Secretary for the next meeting of the Dairy Task Force 2.0. The task force was created in response to the UW System's endorsed White Wisconsin Idea Summit on dairy issues, and the group has a number of policy initiatives, including increasing funding for dairy research at each of our ag schools. Mr. President, that includes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cross. Turning next to committee reports, I'll now call upon Regent Milner to present a report of the actions taken by the Education Committee. Regent Milner.
Thank you, President Bailing. The Education Committee accomplished a great deal yesterday. We approved 10 resolutions, received a report from Vice President Karen Schmidt, and heard 3 presentations. These included 1 from our host campus, UW-Madison, and 2 from the Office of Academic and Student Affairs. I believe it's important to call attention to these last 2 presentations because they were about student recruitment and retention, or as I like to say, R&R of what we do. As Regents, we understand that recruiting students and then retaining them until they earn a degree is critically important, both for UW system and the state of Wisconsin. Therefore, I asked Vice President Schmidt to ensure the Education Committee continues to receive updates on the UW Student Success Collaborative and the UW Higher Education Location Program, or as it likes to call itself, HELP. And I especially want to thank Dr. Ben Passmore and Dr. Chris Navia for their leadership in these key initiatives. Next, the committee unanimously approved 3 academic degree programs. First, the committee approved a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Actuarial Science at UW-Eau Claire. This degree builds upon an existing emphasis within the math major and responds to a 41.8% increase in student enrollment programs since 2012. The committee next approved a Bachelor of Science in Water Science at UW Green Bay. This degree will provide students with expertise needed to solve water-related challenges of today and tomorrow. The curriculum will be offered on all 3 of UW Green Bay's branch campuses. Students will pursue careers in private industry, water utility, geotechnical consulting, and natural resource management. We also had a discussion of freshwater programs across the system, and we'll be hearing as a board from about that later. Finally, UW-Madison gained approval for a Bachelor of Science in Health Promotion and Health Equity. This degree responds to student and employer demand for healthcare professionals. Graduates will pursue careers as health educators for community health organizations, hospitals, mental health providers, and senior citizen centers. The committee at last action was to exercise its annual review of UW system charter school contracts. The committee approved 2 contracts presented by the Office of Educational Opportunity for the public charter schools in Madison. These included number 1, One City School Incorporated, and number 2, Isthmus Montessori Academy Public. In the second action, the committee received a report from the UW-Milwaukee Office of Charter Schools on student performance at Woodland Schools. At the Woodland School State Street campus. And the committee approved the assignment of a charter school contract to the Carmen High School of Science and Technology. Finally, the committee approved the renewal of 4 charter school contracts presented by UW-Milwaukee. These included the Bruce Guadalupe Community School, Seeds of Health, Woodlands School Blue Mound Campus, and Milwaukee Scholars Charter School. The committee conditioned its approval on the Milwaukee Scholars contract on receiving from UW-Milwaukee a report about student performance within 1 calendar year. Therefore, as unanimously approved by the Education Committee, I move for adoption by the Board of Regents Resolutions 1.1C through 1.1F2F.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
President Bailey, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Milner. I'll now call upon Regent Klein to present a report of the actions taken by the Capital Planning and Budget Committee. Regent Klein.
Thank you, Regent President Bailing. We started out, well, I should say we concluded our two reports, which I will describe first, and then I'll get into the motion. Since it was my first meeting as chair of the committee, I was grateful for the report of Vice President Alex Rowe on capital budgeting process, as well as a timeline and approval process. We also received a presentation from Associate Vice Chancellor David Darling on supporting facility operations and maintenance, which is sometimes a neglected part of the capital planning and budgeting process. We learned that UW-Madison runs 1.21, or it's $1.20 per square foot less than peer group in maintenance costs. The report was intended to stimulate a discussion on how to get further support for maintenance and operations for some of our facilities that are aging. We then considered the following 4 resolutions, which I will read to you, and then I will move en masse. Resolution 1.3B, brought by the UW system, requests authority to construct an all-agency maintenance and repair project at UW River Falls to solve a water leakage problem concerning shower surrounds at the South Fork Suites Residence Hall. This is a 240-person upperclassmen residential hall on the east side of campus at River Falls. There were leaks within 6 months of opening. They've been patched, and those leaks are now failing. Total cost of that project is $660,000. Second resolution is resolution 1.3.C, brought by UW System, and this involved a clarification, modification, revision, I would call it, of evaluation criteria for ranking major building project requests. The capital budget process has been updated through this review criteria to prioritize major building projects in a way that's more meaningful and helpful to both UW staff as well as the chancellors and individual campuses. The revised criteria is intended to create a priority list of projects that addresses the greatest needs, highest academic priorities, and most cost-effective solution. It also allows focus on the negative impacts for if projects are not approved. The third resolution we considered and approved and move forward to this body is resolution 1.E. This was a resolution brought forward by University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. It is a $2 million gift-funded project whereby UW-Eau Claire intends to replace a crowned grass field with synthetic turf. This is where the football, this is the practice field for the football team. It has an incredibly uneven surface, so it makes it unsafe. With the redo, it's anticipated that it will be able to use for major hockey meets as well as for football practice. Again, that's a $2 million gift-funded project. The fourth resolution I bring forward is a resolution from University of Wisconsin-Madison. It requests authority to execute the remainder of a design contract in order to construct a UW-managed biochemistry electron microscopes project. This is a $1.8 million gift grant funded project, and again, it's a remodel to the DeLuca biochemistry building. This was interesting to us in that it's an outgrowth of a recruitment, a faculty recruitment for a very exciting ancillary expansion of our field into biology and molecule scientific exploration. Cryo-electron microscopes are used by scientists to see molecules in greater detail, and I think it's very consistent with our success in our cellular fields. So this was a really great development. Those are the 4 motions that to be considered. I move them forward, and if I could get a second, I would.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now next turn to Regent Hall. We'll bring a report forward from the Ready Committee. Regent Hall, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Regent Belling. UW-Eau Claire finance teams created an innovative partnership initiative. Eau Claire Chancellor Jim Schmidt introduced several members of the UW-Eau Claire Finance Department. Faculty and students were there, some joined by video link due to the weather, are engaged in several successful partnerships that have enhanced their educational experiences and better prepared them for their future professions. Some of the successes include a new student organization focused on helping all students on campus improve their financial literacy, more collaboration with businesses and alumni, and new opportunities for internships. The students who spoke were excited about the internships they'd secured, and one young man was proud that he had beat out 140 other applicants to land his dream job of being a wealth advisor at a prestigious company, Associated Bank. Another presentation, UW-Madison update on UW 2020 Research and Innovation Grants. Dr. Norman Drinkwater, UW-Madison Interim Vice Chancellor for Research, provided an update on the UW 2020 Discovery Initiative, which is intended to foster new, highly innovative, collaborative research projects that will lead to multi-investor extramural support. So far, 66 grants have been provided, totaling approximately $25 million to faculty. The Ready Committee heard from 2 grant recipients. First, Dr. Victor Cabrera, who is the professor of dairy science, regarding a virtual dairy farm brand, the next big leap in dairy farm management applying artificial intelligence. And our second presentation or recipient, Dr. Emily Stanley, professor of integrative biology, about seeing the hydroscape, developing a new approach for the study of inland water. Lastly, we had a Regent Scholar update. Regent Mark Tyler and WISE's President Arjun Sangha discussed the Regent Scholar Program. They detailed how the program, since its creation in 2014, has increased undergraduate research, innovation, and student internships across the UW system. This year, there were 19 applications for the three $50,000 awards. The 3 Regent Scholar Faculty Award recipients will be announced and honored at the March meeting of the Board of Regents, with one being a multi-institutional awardee. However, the other 16 applicants also had great research projects that will likely result in further innovation and possible patent disclosure. Regent Baling, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Hall, and report accepted. I'll now turn to the Chair of the Audit Committee, Regent Grebe, if you could please present your report.
Thank you, Regent President Baling. The Audit Committee met yesterday morning. Our agenda included an update on the status of our internal audit efforts, including summary presentations of the recently issued audits that have been transmitted to the committee, a discussion regarding system IT security and the status of our ongoing efforts in that area, and a discussion of the system's ongoing enterprise risk management work. In addition, the committee discussed the interplay between the Audit Committee and the Business and Finance Committee in connection with the system ERP project that was discussed in the Business and Finance Committee yesterday, in light of the multiple relationships between that project and the risk management and oversight function of the Audit Committee. More specifically, Lori Stortz, our Chief Audit Executive, reviewed the progress to date on the fiscal year 2019 audit plan, confirming that her office expects to complete the majority of the audit plan in this fiscal year. As noted, she provided a high-level summary of the results of certain audits that were recently issued by her office, including positive reports related to audits of the UW system business operations and student services, as well as audits of NCAA athletics compliance at UW Green Bay, UW-Madison, UW-Milwaukee, and UW-Parkside. The committee highlighted the positive result of those NCAA audits, particularly in light of the heightened level of potential risk, including serious reputational risk that accompanies those matters. Ms. Storts also discussed the status of the system's security and access audits and described several emerging themes. 9 reports have been issued and 5 remain in the field. The auditors and management at the institutions continue to make good progress, and we look forward to a final report when those audits are all completed. Ms. Storts reported on management's progress to date on the audit comments and response plans included in the audit reports. The Office of Internal Audit continues to receive excellent and appreciated cooperation from management and remains solidly focused on closing IT security audits. The committee then engaged in a fulsome and robust discussion regarding enterprise risk management across the system, including a discussion of the necessary interplay between a system approach and attention to institution requirements. President Cross provided an overview of the project in the context of system priorities. Ruth Anderson, the Assistant Vice President of Administration, shared an update on the unfolding implementation of the ERM project, including an engagement for consulting services with Aon to create a heat map of risks for the UW system, which will lay the groundwork for a comprehensive approach to risk that will involve audit, compliance, legal, and risk assessments. We asked her to update the committee on the ERM project at our next meeting in April. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Grabian. Report accepted. Now we'll turn to Regent Whitburn to hear a report of the Business and Finance Committee. Regent Whitburn.
Thank you, Regent President Bailing. The committee had a packed agenda yesterday. We received our initial report on a very large technology project that will be coming our way in the months ahead, through which at the end of the day we will have a forward-leaning, cloud-based, integrated program and system to standardize administrative processes across our financial and human resources systems across the entire university system. What's broken today is that our financial and HR systems have embedded this morning 350 different shadow and our bolt-on systems just here at Madison, dozens of additional systems across the rest of the UW campuses. We have 33 different general ledgers on this campus alone, 35 different purchasing programs. We have 2 reports before us today required by the legislature for submission by March 1st. The committee reviewed the annual campus strategic plans for information technology, which we owe the legislature no later than March 1st. At the top of the list this year, of course, is our campus plans to integrate the 2-year campuses into the IT systems of the 7 receiving institutions. Also high on the list are necessary campus efforts to strengthen information security on our various campuses. You'll recall we must also submit to the legislature every 6 months updates on IT projects that are viewed as either high risks or, at the end of the day, exceed $1 million. On our March 1st report includes 17 major projects, 6 at Madison, 1 at Stevens Point, which is concluding now, and 10 at System. The total all-in and anticipated costs across these projects, $83 million. From SWIB, the committee received a report on our trust fund assets in each of the last 2 quarters. In the quarter ending September 30th, our long-term fund gained 2.5%, outperforming the benchmark. As we know, the 4th quarter was not a good quarter in the market. Our major fund was down 5.9%, again outperforming the benchmark. At year-end, SWIB is now managing $561 million for us. Good news is January, market's up. Our portfolio is once again expanding. In other reports, the committee reviewed the mid-year fiscal year campus-to-campus actual to budget financial performance. We saw no concerning headlines there. We also reviewed and accepted the semi-annual gifts, grants, and contracts report covering the last 6 months of calendar year 2018. In that 6-month period, the system attracted $828 million in gifts, grants, and contracts, up $14.4 million over the same period in 2017. For UW-Madison, the committee approved a sponsored research agreement, multi-year agreement with 3M. Under this master agreement, we'll see some cutting-edge research conducted in the Madison College of Engineering. President Cross and 9 of our chancellors have requested approval of modest increases in their resident and non-resident graduate tuition rates and their non-resident undergraduate tuition rates next year. Most of the adjustments are for tuition hikes next year ranging from 1% to 2.6% increases. The 2 exceptions, one at UW-Stevens Point, where the proposal is that their resident and non-resident tuition increase 5% in one program, the Master's of Speech Language Pathology, and at UWM, where for new students only, new students, both resident and non-resident, will see a tuition hike of 25% in their doctorate for physical therapy. The committee received a report on the progress being made across the system on our information security from Associate Vice President Kathy Mayer. Campuses are working closely with Kathy and her staff, much improvement during the 11 months that she's been on board. UW-Oshkosh has requested authority to transfer $5 million from their residents' life auxiliary funds to their GPR tuition general fund operation line. This is a one-time transfer. These dollars will be expended over the next 2 fiscal years. It's part of their multi-year financial recovery plan, and the committee approved the request. As a follow-up to the Legislative Audit Bureau's audit of our campus foundation relationships, the committee considered proposed changes to Regents Policy 21-9. This policy, as you know, is meant to ensure appropriate arm's-length relationships between our campuses and our principal fundraising foundations, and also any real estate foundations that the various campuses and chancellors have in place. Among the new policies, the good-sized foundations will now be required to submit annual audited financials to Sean Nelson's office for review. And going forward, real estate projects, any real estate project undertaken by a foundation that involves state or university property or state or university dollars going forward requires approval not only from the chancellor and the president, but also from the members of this board. Madison Vice Chancellor Heller brought the committee up to date on the expanding economic engine that this campus continues to represent, and how its broadening role in the out years is likely to pay dividends across our workforce demands, innovation requirements and opportunities, and the fundamental strength of Wisconsin's future economy. Interestingly, he pointed out something I personally had not heard before. UW-Madison is Wisconsin's largest employer when one considers direct and indirect employment. On behalf of the committee, I would move adoption of resolutions 12D, F, G, I, and resolution 12J.
Motion and second. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, and thank you. And thank you, Regent Whitburn. Now we'll turn to item number 10 on our agenda. Number 10 is one of our most enjoyable responsibilities as a board, in that it's the presentation of Regent Awards. Today we'll present the 11th Annual Regents Diversity Awards, where we'll recognize outstanding faculty and staff from 3 of our campuses. We honor these individuals for the support and opportunities they offer our students. To lead us in the award presentation, I'll turn the floor to Regent Chair of this committee, Mark Tyler.
Thank you and good morning. On behalf of my colleagues, I'd like to extend a special welcome to this year's award recipients and also to their friends, their families, and colleagues that are joining them this morning. This is the 11th year that the Board of Regents has presented its Diversity Awards, which is meant to recognize the outstanding contributions to diversity and inclusion by people and programs in our UW system institutions. These are ideals that the UW system has promoted for decades. Today's awards are part of a special family of awards that we as Regents sponsor. They also include the Regents Teaching Excellence Awards and the Regents Academic Staff Excellence Awards, which recognize exceptional service. The Regents Diversity Program, which we present this morning, was established by a board directive calling for formal recognition of individuals, teams, and units within the UW system who have successfully fostered greater access and success for historically underrepresented populations. At this time, I'd like to recognize the commitment of my Regent colleagues who served on the selection committee for the awards, including Regent Eve Hall, Regent Chris Peterson, Regent Ryan Ring. I also want to thank the nominees for taking the time to submit materials and also express our appreciation for the support that we received from Saul Garanza and his team. The people and programs we're going to hear about today understand what's needed, but more than that, they do something about meeting those needs. Each of our award recipients here today shows a genuine respect for human differences, a deep attentiveness to the learning process, and a keen responsiveness to students and their educational needs. We're proud to recognize their accomplishments and proud that they're part of our UW system family. Before we present the awards, I'd like to point out that there are profiles of each of the award winners in your folders, and also they're available online, and I would encourage you to take a look at them in your leisure. My colleagues on the Regent Selection Committee will each introduce one of the award recipients and present the award. Each recipient will then have the opportunity to address the group. The first award will be presented by Regent Brian Ring.
Good morning, and thank you, Regent Tyler. It is my privilege to present the first 2019 Board of Regents Diversity Award in the individual category to Mr. Dennis K. Beal, Jr., Assistant Director of the Blue Gold Beginnings Program at UW-Eau Claire. Dennis earned both his undergraduate and master's degrees from UW-Eau Claire. He began his career there as a graduate assistant who supported student athletes, especially students of color, by developing their talents on the field and ensuring that they had a strong community off the field. He assisted with the recruiting efforts at high schools in major cities to bring students of color to campus, and then supported their success by creating mentoring programs and fostering leadership skills. Over the past 4 years, Dennis has continued to contribute to his alma mater, first as a student services coordinator and now as assistant director of Blue Gold Beginnings. This award-winning program works to make higher education possible for low-income, first-generation, and underrepresented students. As assistant director, Dennis assists with college planning and middle school students throughout northwestern Wisconsin and provides programs to boost study skills. Dennis works closely with departments and units across campus to actively engage students, faculty, and staff in creating a more welcoming and inclusive campus. The students in his programs have a 98% retention rate after the first semester. And on average, 2 out of 3 of his students maintain a 3.0 grade point average. He has developed many programs and initiatives, too many to name here. They include the influential Black Male Empowerment Group, which he mentors. Mr. Beal recently led 15 African American students in this program on an intercultural exchange to England and France. Regarding Mr. Beal's role in this successful program, the Dean of Students had this to say, quote, "I've been impressed with the fearless nature with which he created an abroad research immersion experience in the United Kingdom for students. I've heard incredible stories from students that enjoyed themselves and gained invaluable skills from this opportunity," unquote. On that note, it's my pleasure to present our first Regents Diversity Award to Mr. Dennis K. Beal, Jr.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing? Good, good. I love the energy. I feed off that. So, man, when I came in, well, first off and foremost, I just wanted to say, man, I'm grateful, I'm honored, and very privileged this morning to receive this award. In 2009, when I first came to Eau Claire, to be honest with you, I had goals and dreams, but I didn't really have a clear vision. And I transferred from Iowa, coming from Chicago originally. And it was hard. It was hard transitioning to the campus, and I didn't see a lot of minorities that looked like myself. And then when they did look like me, they didn't barely speak to me. So that in itself was just very surprising. After that, when I got there, I gained 2 mentors that really was very, I guess you could say, very helpful, to help me, guide me along my college journey. And 2 things that they instilled in me, one was a servant leadership model, was that they didn't talk about what they did for me. They actually directed me to those certain resources that was of value to me. And another thing was 4 ships that I always talk about to my students. And those 4 ships are leaderships, internships, relationships, and internships. What do all those words have in common? Ships. What do ships do? They sail. They're going to take you places. So the thing about it is that, each year that these students come in, especially within their first year, a lot of students coming from inner city and rural areas, they have goals and dreams, but not a clear vision. So instilling those 4 ships in them and how important that is, they will be successful throughout those 4 years. So with that, I just want to say I'm thankful, I'm honored, and it's a pleasure to be here today and stand in front of you all. And thank you so much for this award.
Our second Regents Diversity Award in the team category goes to the Food Center and Pantry at UW-Milwaukee. This program is a collaborative effort between students, faculty, and staff to address equity issues related to hunger and food insecurity on campus. Its mission is to ensure the entire campus community has nutritious food and key necessities in a welcoming educational space. Since its inception in January 2018, the Food Center and Pantry has helped address increasing student need. The pantry's only staff person, Quincy Kissick, oversees the daily operations of UWM Food Center and Pantry, including supervising and scheduling student employees and volunteers. And the students can also gain access to the food pantry during off hours by contacting the Student Association, Dean of Students, Inclusive Excellence Center, or LGBT Resource Center. Important to its success, the pantry collects demographic information and comments from students via a drop box at the pantry itself and through email. UWM uses the data to improve processes and ensure that the pantry's services are equitable, inclusive, and accessible to meet the needs of the campus's diverse student population. The Food Center and Pantry collaborates with the Pick and Save and the Hunger Task Force to bring fresh, healthy food at discount prices to UWM every month. The pantry also works with community partners to connect students to local food agencies and host dialogues on campus to spread awareness about food insecurity and ways to combat hunger. In the nomination materials, Chancellor Mark Money
reflected on the impact the pantry has had. Quote, "What began with a small group of students has now transformed into a campus-wide initiative. The result is a campus culture of understanding that we can collectively work to ensure that the basic dietary needs of our students are met," unquote. It is my pleasure to present the 2019 Regents Diversity Award in the team category to the Food Center and Pantry at UW-Milwaukee. The award will be accepted by Quincy Kissick, Assistant Director of Student Association Professional Staff.
Hi, everyone. It is an honor to be here today, but what I love the most is the opportunity to get to tell the story of the UWM Food Center and Pantry. Really, it's a success story about how cross-campus collaborations can create a really sustainable, long-lasting impact. The Food Center and Pantry started in fall 2016 with an idea, and the student government distributed a survey that indicated within the past 6 months, 50% of respondents had struggled and were worried about where their next meal would come from. Now, we hear jokes about college students living off of beer and ramen, but 50% indicates that it's a real issue for our students. If students are worried about where their next meal is coming from, they're not thinking about their grades. They're not thinking about classes or studying or where they can find the next party. So that means that food insecurity on college campuses is not just an ethical humanitarian issue, but a student success and retention issue as well. The students followed this up with the Wisconsin Hope Lab survey, and this identified some populations at UWM that are more susceptible to food insecurity. And this is where the ramen and beer narrative gets even more complicated, because this survey showed that many college students weren't going hungry because they're lazy millennials or they're partying or up to other shenanigans. Really, the college students that are struggling with food insecurity are working really, really hard. 21 to 40 plus hours a week on top of going to school full-time, on average. And then we also have students who are parents who are struggling with food insecurity and students who are veterans. So the traditional narrative of what a college student looks like doesn't really fit the students who are struggling with food insecurity. So from there, these students partnered with resource centers on campus who serve these populations. Notably, the Student Association, LGBT+ Resource Center, Dean of Students Office, Inclusive Excellence Center, and the Student Association professional staff. And based on the input of these stakeholders, the Food Center and Pantry opened last year in January of 2018. In the 1 year since opening, and I just really like to sit with that for a minute, 1 year since opening, we have served well over 500 patrons. We've seen a 400% increase in usership from semester 1 to semester 2. We develop culturally affirming donation lists and run cultural food drives to ensure that our diverse campus is being served adequately. And this has been written into the job description of a full-time staff person, me, and we're in the process of hiring a student employee to help support the operations of the Food Center and Pantry. None of this could have happened without a whole team of people behind it. Notably, some special shout outs. Dakota Crowell, the student who really brought this idea to life. Renee Scampini, a graduate student studying perceptions of hunger, who really has kept the Food Center and Pantry running. Mayer Yang, the director of the Inclusive Excellence Center. Jen Murray, director of the LGBT+ Resource Center. Eric Jessup Anger, director of student involvement. Rick Thomas, director of the Student Union, and Sarah Edmondson, director of Student Association professional staff, who's really been an advocate and supporter, as well as the rest of our executive team and volunteers who show up to the pantry every week. And this is really what makes the UWM's Food Center and Pantry unique, is that we have stakeholders from everywhere on campus, faculty, staff, and students. And this was brought together through student government. So it's a true example of what shared governance can do on a college campus. Students will tell you what they need, and student government is a conduit to resources to make that happen. When you invest in student government, you invest in the university. Thank you.
Good morning. So I am honored to present the final Regents Diversity Award in the team category to the Titan Advantage program known as TAP at UW-Oshkosh. TAP began in 2014 as a group of concerned faculty and staff on campus were addressing the issues of recruitment, retention, and persistence to graduation of underrepresented students. A 15-member team made up of experts on academic persistence, success, resources, and pedagogy, particularly as it pertains to students of color, created the Summer Bridge program. TAP is designed for incoming underrepresented low-income and first-generation college students to earn 4 to 6 college credits the summer prior to their first year at UW-Oshkosh. UW-Oshkosh supports the program with no cost to the students. In addition, the program accepts conditionally admitted students to the university, which creates a pathway for admission to UW-Oshkosh for students of color that did not previously exist. To date, 137 students of color have successfully completed the program. Dr. Sylvia Carey Butler leads the division where TAP is housed, the Division of Academic Support and Inclusive Excellence, and Mai Ku Chong coordinates the program. 5-year highlights include a 100% TAP completion rate. The program also boasts 97% retention rate from the summer 6-week program to the corresponding fall term. From 2013 to 2018, UW-Oshkosh increased the enrollment of students of color from 11.4% to 15.7%. TAP may also be helping to attract and enroll increased numbers of students of color to UW-Oshkosh, even if they themselves are not participants in the program. This is because TAP students are recruiting family and friends to enroll at the university. A member of the faculty shared this about TAP. As a history professor, I have seen firsthand the profound impact the program has had to improve the academic success of students of UW-Oshkosh. Please join me in congratulating the UW-Oshkosh Titan Advantage Program, TAP, and Dr. Sylvia Carey Butler, who will accept the award on the team's behalf. Dr. Butler.
Good morning. On behalf of the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh and Chancellor Levitt and the amazing team that's assembled here today, and certainly the team that's responsible for the success of the Titan Advantage program, I am humbled, I am honored, and I am absolutely pleased to accept the Team Diversity Award for the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh. And I want to thank the Board of Regents for this wonderful award. I would also like to acknowledge the members of the team who joined me today. Others would have wanted to be here, they couldn't, but let me acknowledge Dr. Michelle Kuhl, who is one of our inaugural faculty members, Dr. Jordan Landry, whose pedagogy and understanding of underrepresented students have made a difference in the success of the Titan Advantage program, and Cameron Brown from the admissions office, who have played a significant part in recruiting the students. And certainly, last but not least, Mr. Cam Delnett, the director of our financial aid program, who has worked with our students not only during the summertime, but throughout their journey here at UW-Oshkosh. So, wonderful, wonderful team. Under the capable leadership of Michael Zhang, who would have loved to have been here as the coordinator of the program, the Titan Advantage program has truly been successful in navigating students not only to college, but through college. And we are certainly excited for her leadership. She's actually accompanying a group of students as we speak to the East Coast for a National Asian Student Conference. Otherwise, she would have been here today. The success of the TAP program has provided, as you've heard, students who might not otherwise have been admitted into college an opportunity to not only enroll, but to be successful. And their success is also success, certainly for UW-Oshkosh, but also for the UW system, and certainly for the state of Wisconsin. So we are delighted for this award, and we thank you, and we are absolutely honored to be here today. Thank you.
Next, we have our third and final presentation on the capacity building initiatives proposed as part of our recent budget request. President Cross, can you take lead on this issue?
Thank you, Regent President Bailing. A key part of the budget request for 2019-21 is focused on capacity building proposals. These initiatives are designed to increase student success and output with an emphasis on addressing the state's needs. To grow capacity, we will require additional investments in faculty, in support staff, or facilities to be able to enroll more students and produce more graduates in high-demand fields. That's what this is all about. As you've seen and heard at our October and December meetings, UW system institutions are engaging in innovative and impactful work to meet the needs and address the challenges facing Wisconsin, and in particular, their local communities. The response we have heard from legislators has been very positive. In fact, some have expressed interest in actually increasing this number or moving it earlier into the budget. Today, in our final round of presentations, we will hear from 5 institutions: UW-Platteville, UW-Stevens Point, UW-Whitewater, UW-Green Bay, and UW-Madison. Please. And I believe Chancellor Shield is going to lead this off.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, come on. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Fortunately, I'm only going to take a couple of seconds, and I'm going to put somebody in front of the microphone that actually has done a lot of the lifting on this. The first thing I would tell you is that none of this gets done without the efforts of a lot of different people. Surprisingly enough, even regents, a tip of the cap to Regent Whitburn, who was very helpful in this process. The academic affairs folks at System, the faculty senate and the governance process on our campus, and ultimately Dean Wayne Weber, who will explain this further. Our capacity building proposal is founded on actually work that we've been doing for 3 or 4 years, visiting a number of communities across southwest Wisconsin, visiting with elected officials, town councils, chamber of commerce, and most importantly with business and industry to discover the sorts of things that our university can be relevant to. So when the restructuring came along and we took on UW Richland and UW Sauk County, both of which were communities we already visited fairly frequently over the preceding years, we learned a great deal about what the needs of those communities are. And so the capacity building projects that we've put forward are directly relevant to business and industry in those communities. I want to thank Dean Weber, who has led this in his College of Business, Industry, Life Science, and Agriculture for their efforts on this front. Hopefully, in a few weeks, with the approval of HLC, we will actually begin to offer this academic programming on those 2 campuses. Wayne?
Thank you, Chancellor. I'll be necessarily brief and only take the next 3 hours to. So as the Chancellor indicated, our capacity building proposal is all about collaborative integration. And our Chancellor and Provost have been highly engaged in embracing our branch campuses and a system initiative to increase operational efficiency geared for student success. But here's the challenge. A blank slide is challenging. Hopefully the next one will come up here. There we go. We know that enrollments have been dropping significantly at the UW colleges, including our branch camps. Part of that is due to the challenging demographic, where high school populations have been dropping across the nation. This situation, we know, is even more acute in the Midwest. And yet, success of these programs are paramount. All 3 of the UW-Platteville campuses are highly valued focal points in their region, playing key roles in the local economy and workforce development. I'm trying. So how do we make these campuses successful? As the Chancellor indicated, our vision is stronger together. Oh, now we're running really fast. Our vision is stronger together, where universities, communities, and industry are working together so we can be stronger together. And in this endeavor, we've intentionally reached out to connect with regional industry and communities to discuss proposed solutions. What are these solutions? We're looking to develop and offer industry and regionally relevant associate degree programs on the branch campuses. Programs that build on our current strengths, provide clear pathways to the 4-year degree, and for those students that stop with the associate's degree, these graduates will have a skill set by which they can immediately add value to industry. So what are these degree programs? Well, they're listed here, and I'll only highlight a few. The first one is the Associate of Science in Food and Agriculture. We know the huge impact of agriculture on the state's economy, with agriculture and its allied industries contributing over $88.3 billion annually to the Wisconsin economy. But what about Richland and Baraboo? Well, in Richland County, 45% of all jobs are associated with agriculture. And in Sauk County, agriculture contributes to almost $1 million in annual economic activity. Second is the Associate of Science in Accounting and Business Administration. We know that small businesses are the lifeblood of rural economies, and we need individuals that are skilled in accounting, business management, and marketing that have an entrepreneurial spirit. Further, long-term projections for Wisconsin indicate that the demand for graduates in these areas is going to increase 7% over the next decade. These 2 programs build off obvious strengths that we have at UW-Platteville, and as the Chancellor indicated, we're looking to launch these 2 this coming fall, 2019. Other programs include an Associate of Science in Hospitality and Tourism, specifically at the Baraboo campus. talk about relevance, right? With the $1 billion tourism industry in the Wisconsin Dells and Lake Delton area, this program is relevant and timely. But we don't have this program. So what we're doing is we're collaborating with our friends at UW-Stout, who have an excellent Bachelor of Science degree program in hotel, restaurant, and tourism management. And I'll tell you that UW-Stout, UW Baraboo-Sauk County, and the regional industry are all very excited about this program. The last one I'll mention here is the associate degree in biology. We're primarily developing this program to build on our strengths to continue to help meet the significant healthcare needs in Wisconsin, especially the rural areas. This proposal is in direct alignment with UW system priorities. The branch campuses provide a local, affordable, face-to-face opportunity in their regions. Further, regionally and industry-relevant programs such as these will increase enrollment and retention on all 3 campuses and partner institutions. Additionally, all these degree programs are designed to provide a seamless transfer to system 4-year institutions. And when we talk about entrepreneurial and innovative educational practices, these programs will continue to emphasize the hands-on experiential learning that we're known for, but also we're implementing a required first-year internship program between the freshman and sophomore year, where students will get early work and professional experience in the field of interest, while also providing metacognitive application of learned concepts. Finally, as described, we're increasing our footprint to develop skilled graduates ready to enter the workforce. So in conclusion, this proposal is a unique collaborative effort to engage universities, industry, and the community to develop relevant programming on the branch campuses. Graduates will have skill sets to provide immediate value to the workforce, and these programs will provide a seamless transition to the 4-year degree. So what we're asking is for us to work together through the capacity building opportunity to launch these programs so that by working together, we can become stronger together. Thank you very much.
At the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, we are creating a new kind of regional university for the 21st century. If there was ever a time in our nation's history where our society needs graduates prepared to think critically, problem solve, to innovate, to communicate clearly and persuasively, to understand the interdisciplinary nature of the world in which we live, and to recognize and resolve an ethical dilemma when they encounter one, that time is now. These are the skills developed through the study and the practice of the liberal arts. And these are precisely the skills we will infuse across the curriculum of our professional programs. To do this, we will join together the liberal arts and our career-focused programs in a way that few universities have done in the past. To do this, we must prioritize our most valuable and limited resource, our people, in a way that helps communities become more vibrant, healthy, prosperous, and sustainable, and our students prepared for a career and an engaged life after graduation. Our world is constantly changing, so we must instill in our students not only the desire, but also the hunger to be lifelong learners. We will provide our students with hands-on, real-world experiences that are at the same time help small cities and rural communities of Wisconsin solve the very problems that threaten their very way of life. This new kind of regional university for the 21st century will produce graduates who are among the best prepared professionals in Wisconsin, giving them not only a very competitive advantage in their careers, but also in life. UW-Stevens Point's vision for a new regional university aligns perfectly with the UW System's capacity building initiative. Our request will expand capacity in high-demand academic programs, pilot a year-round curriculum with the branch campus to make the delivery of 3-year degrees possible, expand high-impact experiences, and produce more graduates to meet the regional and statewide workforce. Specifically, we propose expanding capacity in high-demand academic programs, including paper science and chemical engineering. Papermaking has had a long and proud history in our state, and while the demand has declined for newsprint, the paper converting side of the industry has exploded. For example, consider Amazon. they use 1.6 million, I said 1.6 million boxes every day. And that does not include other retailers like Walmart, Target, or other packaging brands. The paper science and engineering graduates at our campus have had a 100% job placement rate for years, some locking in jobs a year before they graduate. Our goal is to double the number of students in both engineering programs. We're also proposing expanding capacity in computing and data analytics. It's hard to imagine an area in our personal lives that's not touched by technology, from buying groceries to having our cars repaired. Cliff King, CEO of Skyward, has told me on more than one occasion that he would hire 20 programmers today if he could find them. They now have plans to add 70 new positions in their company next year. Our goal is to nearly double the students in computing and to increase by 5-fold students in data analytics. Over the past decade, UW-Stevens Point has developed a deep expertise in aquaponics and aquaculture. Aquaculture, or fish farming, is the fastest growing sector of food production. Aquaponics integrates the fish and plant production without the need for soil. UW-Stevens Point has been a national leader in education, applied research, and development of these food systems. We're helping to meet a worldwide demand for local, safe, and sustainable food production. This technology may be our best chance for addressing world hunger. And this new baccalaureate degree program will bring together aquaponics and aquaculture as the first degree of its kind in the U.S. Now, while the expansion of existing and new degree programs is necessary, it is not sufficient to accomplish our mission. The evolving nature of higher education, the needs of the communities we serve, and the expectations of our students demand that we change when we teach, where we teach, how we teach, what we teach, and with whom we teach. In today's world, students are very focused on the cost of their education, the return on their investment, or as some have put it, return on their education. The calendar that drives higher education in the U.S. was developed in the 19th century agrarian world. We would never want to rush into anything, but it is the 21st century. And now is the time for change. We are requesting funds to pilot a 3-year degrees on our new year-round schedule with 3 equal length prize semesters in collaboration with one of our branch campuses. With a year-round calendar, most degrees can be completed in less than 3 years, reducing student loan debt and making graduates available for the workforce sooner. Graduate degrees, like the MBA, could be offered in a 3+1 format. Can you think of any other sector of our economy that allows its most expensive asset, its infrastructure, to lie dormant for 3 months a year? I can't. And as we all know, high-impact internships in undergraduate research will increase student retention, graduation, and career success. This initiative will expand the number of students in our paid internship programs, especially important to first-generation, low-income, and non-traditional students at risk of not completing college. A similar grant-funded pilot program at UW-Stevens Point has already demonstrated a huge success with a 96% of the students graduating on time. Combined with additional community-focused innovative undergraduate research programs, the number of businesses and community organizations served will double as well. Thank you for this opportunity to share our vision and our path forward. The future is ours to create. Thank you.
Good morning, President Bailing, President Cross, Regents, and University of Wisconsin community members. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to present the University of Wisconsin Whitewater's Capacity Building Initiative. It builds on a mission that is close to all of our hearts and addresses the state's and the nation's workforce needs. Across Wisconsin and the United States, persons with disabilities face tremendous obstacles in getting jobs. In fact, the unemployment rate for this population is about double the rate for those with no disability. And when they do find work, it is often part-time only, and the jobs have low wages with few chances for advancement. What's promising is that businesses across the world are actively seeking to employ people with disabilities, yet they don't seem to know quite how. They are looking for leadership and guidance. They are craving best practices. Our vision is for the University of Wisconsin at Whitewater to fulfill exactly that need, to become the academic and industry standard for national and international corporations, and for Wisconsin and regional businesses who want to recruit, hire, and successfully employ people with disabilities. Since 1973, when this very board designated UW-Whitewater with a special mission to serve students with disabilities, our campus has embraced that challenge. We are a national leader in providing exceptional services for these individuals. Every year, fueled by our creativity and our passion, we find ways to do this better and better and better. We've incorporated universal design in classrooms and residence halls. Our faculty and staff make accommodations a priority. Sometimes it's as simple as a professor who creates adaptations so that students with disabilities can more fully participate in a class or extracurricular activity. Or a student organization teaching sign language during a musical performance. Or science students using 3D printers to create objects in Braille. Our men's and women's wheelchair basketball teams have won 16 national championships. And many student athletes and alums are Paralympic medalists. This year, we are launching a program called Life. Learning is for everyone, that supports students with intellectual disabilities to help them transition to independent living and prepare them for competitive employment. At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, our outcomes far outpace national trends, from graduation rates to employment rates. In fact, 92% of UW-Whitewater grads with disabilities are either employed or in graduate school. To build on this success, we seek to create a Disability Innovation and Employment Institute. We will leverage our expertise to offer consulting, certificate programs, and professional development to CEOs and managers who want to receive this training in employing individuals with disabilities. In fact, we are currently developing a website and social media channels through which businesses can ask questions and gain knowledge on these topics. We will train and credential more students, faculty, and staff in this industry through continuing ed programs, conferences, and internships. We will create a statewide network to explore best practices in hiring and retaining employees with disabilities. Through our cutting-edge research, We will develop new academic programs and create valuable products and services to support individuals with disabilities throughout their lives. We will increase student enrollment in job readiness programs, creating a direct pipeline for workforce development. To accomplish this goal, we are requesting $1.5 million in new base funding. With the state's support, we are confident of our ability to raise additional investment to build even more capacity. One of our campus teams has already secured $1.24 million annually in grants and contracts that focuses on employment outcomes and mental health awareness. And we have prospective donors who have indicated an interest in helping us to scale these efforts even further. We envision a virtual and living laboratory where corporations can pilot new services, products, and environments to make them accessible and inclusive. We will become the gold standard in this industry. Thank you for this opportunity. For 150 years, UW-Whitewater has inspired, we have engaged, and we have transformed lives. Student success is our driving purpose, and we are ready to build on that legacy with your support and the support of the state of Wisconsin. Thank you.
Good morning, Regents. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about the capacity building project, University of Wisconsin Green Bay. And I draw your attention to the brochure in your materials to help you understand this project. I'm very excited to bring this to you. At University of Wisconsin Green Bay, we've elected to focus on a single institution-wide project involving all 4 of our campuses and operating in all 16 counties of our region. We call this project Phoenix Connects, and I'll say right now at the beginning of this very brief presentation, and I'll say it at the end, I'm incredibly proud of this university for understanding our obligation to be a full partner in our region in addressing some of the most difficult issues facing the citizens of our region. Mental health and drug abuse issues threaten Wisconsin. These problems are acute in both rural and urban areas in northeastern Wisconsin. As a public university, we believe we share in the obligation to address these challenges. The Phoenix Connects initiative expands our assets and applies them to this great challenge. And these assets are located primarily in the College of Health, Education, and Social Welfare and the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, but this program extends across the university. Wisconsin ranks 8th in the country in prevalence of mental health issues, and mental health challenges are particularly acute among our state's youth, which of course is our principal clientele. 4th highest in the nation is having at least one major depressive episode in a year. Substance abuse issues are also exploding in Wisconsin. For example, the state has experienced an 8-fold increase in opioid-related deaths between 1999 and 2015. Mental health and drug abuse challenges place tremendous stress on the readiness of the workforce and on the demands of educators and health providers. For example, 51,000 potential college students or employees remain untreated. Teachers and healthcare workers providers are unprepared in many cases to spot and appropriately channel mental health and drug-related issues. Too few health educators and healthcare providers are in the workforce. For example, look at the ratio of social workers to students is 1 to almost 1,500 against a recommendation of 1 to 400. The University of Wisconsin Green Bay trains large numbers of teachers, nurses, and social workers and other education and health professionals. And we are also active as a community partner throughout our region. So the Phoenix Connect program focuses in 7 initiatives to build mental health expertise in all of our nursing graduates, to provide alcohol and other drug abuse training in all future social workers, nurses, and teachers. We will launch a new school psychology program. This will be a graduate program to extend to more professionals into the area. We are planning intervention and training for future teachers. One of the more important parts of this is to expand our ESL program, English as a Second Language program, into all educational programs in the 16-county region through work with high schools and communities and technical colleges. We will also work with businesses, individuals, and organizations on mental health and substance abuse. And one of the most important and exciting parts of this is we will establish a Center for Excellence at our Manitowoc campus to promote mental health, drug abuse, and education best practices. We expect there to be 3 kinds of outcomes in this over the next 5 years. All of our nursing, social work, education, psychology, pre-med, STEM graduate psychology, education, health communications will all have curriculum revisions to include mental health courses and courses in AODA training where appropriate. The new psychology program should advance 20 to 30 new students into the field in the next 3 years and up to 40 in the next 5. And we will focus a lot of attention on health communication in our graduates, which we believe is a real weakness in this region. Other kinds of outcomes include connecting directly with the workforce. Here's a list of a lot of the numbers of graduates we expect over the next 5 years from this program and their training: 375 social workers certified in AODA emphasis, 1,700 nurses with cultural and language competencies, along with the drug and mental health abuse training. And you can see 40 new psychology graduates and others to address this problem. The University of Wisconsin Green Bay has a partnership model. Virtually everything we do, we partner with the community, business, nonprofit, the government. We will extend this model into this Phoenix Connect program. Annual mental health and wellness conferences will be held. We will have mental health and drug abuse and outreach center at our Manitowoc campus where we will focus our efforts. And we are starting to look at K through 12 mental health modules that our teachers and teachers in training can take out to these 16 counties to help teachers in the field to begin to address these problems. We expect to have school district targeting 30% participation. We are requesting a $1.75 million new investment in this program. We think it's very important, and we will appreciate consideration of that. I want to say that at University of Wisconsin Green Bay, we have the expertise to make a difference. With this investment, we can expand that expertise and make and have a real chance at meeting some of these challenges in this part of the state where they're acute. As I said at the beginning, I'm very proud of this university for seeking an investment in a capacity building project that looks outward, that understands our position in this region as a partner, and that builds our assets in a strategic way to make a real difference for the lives and the people in this region. And I want to thank Dean Susan Gallagher-Leapak and Dean Chuck Ryback and their faculties and staff who were instrumental in putting this vision together, and thank you for your consideration of this proposal.
Next one. So if we are fortunate enough to receive some of this capacity building funding at UW-Madison, we're going to be investing it in 4 programs on campus: our computer science, engineering, business, and nursing programs. Those are all fields with high and growing student demand. In each field, we're actually currently turning away students who are both interested and qualified because we simply have a lack of space in the programs. And there are also programs where there's very high demand on the part of state employers. The money that we would receive would be used primarily in 3 different ways, a little differently in each program. First, to expand faculty, which allows us to increase the number of students in these majors as well as reduce time to degree, which of course also helps on the affordability front. Secondly, adding advisors so that you can better connect students with internships, with career opportunities. And third, developing new student experiences and educational programs that we think are particularly important to enhance the experience they're getting on campus. So I want to quickly take you through each of those four programs and indicate what we'd like to do with them. Computer science, I mentioned yesterday. In just 5 years, we've grown from 300 to 1,600 majors. We've hired 8 new faculty. We hope to hire 16 more, but we're still not keeping up with the demand, and I think this demand is going to continue to grow. The capacity building initiative is going to allow us to add 2,000 seats to some of the high-demand computer courses, both for CS majors as well as for students from other majors who want to add the technical expertise that those courses provide. It's also going to help us create the new undergraduate major in data science, an area of high demand with a lot of salability out there in the workplace. And ultimately, we'll hope to graduate about 800 to 1,000 more students in computer and data science over the next 4 years with additional funding. Second is the engineering program. We have seen a 30% increase in undergraduates interested in pursuing engineering degrees. We currently have 4,200 undergraduates in engineering at Madison. We have some room to grow, but to compete for the best students, we need to continue our work to modernize and update the program. So the capacity building initiative, again, if funded, would allow the College of Engineering to add 800 new slots for engineering majors initially, with the possibility of adding more in future years. Among the factors driving demand in this, of course, Foxconn is one of the new employers inside the state that are going to want to hire more engineers. Our goals here are to ease bottlenecks to high-demand courses so students can progress more quickly to graduation, and to develop new courses that meet some of the emerging needs of industry, such as design thinking courses that build skill, or courses that build skills in business or communication to supplement the engineering work. And then we want to make some additional efforts in engineering to attract and retain a broader mix of students that have traditionally come into engineering. We hope with these funds that we can graduate about 650 more engineers over the next 5 years. Third program is business. Last year, we had 7,700 freshmen applying for 2,700 slots in our undergraduate BBA program. Many of the incoming freshman applicants we turn away have excellent credentials. A high share will go elsewhere if they don't get into our BBA program, and we have benchmarked this, and a very high share of those undergraduates leave the state and go to much larger undergraduate programs, particularly in Minnesota and Indiana. The capacity building initiative would allow us to open up 300 additional slots for BBA students. It will expand access and reduce time to degree by offering more of the really high-demand courses that sometimes close out. And it'll allow us, again, like in engineering, to develop some new courses to meet growing student and employer interests, such as expanding our entrepreneurship curriculum, where the interest is growing very rapidly. And finally, the last area here is nursing. We receive about 450 applications for 160 slots in our nursing program. Last year, we accepted just 39% of the applicants who were judged qualified. That's well below the percentage that many of our peer schools accept. UW-Madison students apply to nursing as sophomores, and qualified students who don't get in often stay in school longer, hoping to reapply. That means they graduate later, and they often graduate with more debt. The Wisconsin Center for Nursing projects a major nursing shortage in this state in the years ahead, and this initiative will allow us to expand our capacity by at least 40 students, increasing our graduating class by 25%. We also want to use some of the funds to modernize our simulation lab, which is going to allow us to teach more effectively as well. The capacity building initiative is a smart proposal that we think is going to allow us to leverage the really strong foundation we have in these programs. We are not looking just at state funds here. We're investing some of our own institutional funds in this. We're obviously going out to donors and friends of the university to try to fund some of this, but the state money really allows us to leverage that much more effectively and much more quickly expand some of these areas where we just have a lot of students who want to get in and a lot of employers who want to hire those students when they graduate. So thank you very much for listening to all of our needs.
Thank you, Chancellors. President Cross, could you wrap this up for us?
Yes, I want to thank the chancellors for doing this, but I also want to impress upon the regents and my appreciation, and I think I'm speaking for all the chancellors, their appreciation for supporting this capacity building request initiative within our budget. It's really important. I think you've heard each campus has a distinctive approach to how they will spend their portion of that money. In every case, though, it's either meeting the need of the state in some fashion through the employees that they're preparing, a critical need, or it's addressing some critical challenges the county has, or the city has, or the region has. Every one of them are that way. There is no better way to express the Wisconsin idea than what you just heard from these chancellors and from the chancellors that preceded them in October and December. So I really appreciate your support, and I know all of them do as well. We'll all work hard to get it, so thank you, Regent President Bailey.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and excuse our chancellors, but first give them a round of applause. We'll now go to item number 12 on the agenda, turning to athletics. The Board of Regents has reporting guidelines for UW institutions that participate in NCAA Division I athletics to annually provide information regarding academic compliance matters. Today, we'll hear a report from UW-Madison. To do that, let's welcome back to the podium Chancellor Blank. Chancellor Blank, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to say a word of introduction to this topic. There is a lot of discussion and a lot of criticism of college athletics all around the country. And I must say, in my opinion, I think much of it is deserved. One of the things that I am very proud about for being chancellor at UW-Madison is that I think we take the idea of student athletics seriously. We take issues of compliance and of student performance as seriously as we take issues of performance on the field. And, you know, we can't promise that everything will always go right, but I have a great deal of confidence in the leadership and in all of our coaches within the athletic program that they do understand the issues and that they are working hard to do the right thing out there every day. So that you can see, and as you read this report, that we've been serious about academic support and academic outcomes for our students. We're serious about compliance. And of course, we're also serious about, if you're going to run these teams, about performance on the field. And I want to thank our athletic director, Barry Alvarez, and his entire team and all of the coaches for the seriousness with which they do take it. Barry.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor Blank. Thank you. Certainly proud to report on another successful year. Currently, we're on a streak of 5 straight bowl victories after our 35-3 win over Miami in the 2018 Pinstripe Bowl. The Pinstripe Bowl appearance gives Wisconsin 42 combined bowl and NCAA men's basketball tournament appearances since the start of the '96 season. That's more than any other school in the country during that period, and I'm very proud of the level of our consistency. We finished 19th in the Learfield Directors' Cup standings for the 17-18 athletic year, the school's 4th top 20 finish in 5 years. Currently, we're number 4 in the Learfield standings after the fall of 2018. 18 of our 23 sports qualified for postseason competition in 17 and 18. 3 of them won conference titles. 11 of our student athletes and/or coaches were semifinalists, finalists, or winners of national awards in 2017 and 18. The ninth consecutive year the UW student athletes achieved at least a 3.0 cumulative grade point average, setting a record in 17 and 18 with a 3.117 mark. Pleased to report that UW Athletics' internal controls or compliance were audited by UW System, and no compliance matters were identified in this review. In addition, the department reported no major violations of the NCAA rules and 15 secondary violations, which is consistent with reporting from previous years. More than 13,000 donors contributed more than $40 million to the UW Athletics in 2018. We finished the 2017-18 fiscal year with another positive cash balance. We continue to closely monitor our finances and ever-changing challenges in college athletics. Licensing fees from purchase of items with the UW logos are shared with campus, and last year provided more than $1.9 million in financial aid for undergraduates that demonstrated financial need. Athletics also contributed an additional $5.7 million to campus in the form of Big Ten television revenues. The highly successful Badger Give Back program, community service program in Wisconsin athletics, featured some 600 student athletes volunteering their time in 2017-18. We had 13 former Badger hockey players involved in the 2018 Winter Olympic Games in South Korea, including head men's hockey coach Tony Granato, who coached the men's team. 9 former Badgers competed for either Team USA or Team Canada, including 4 who played on the American gold medal-winning women's team. Last year at this time, I announced that in the wake of the tragic situation at Michigan State, UW Athletics would be conducting a review and audit of the health and safety-related policies, procedures, and practices in our athletic department. We sought the guidance of experts, advisors, stakeholders during this process and treated it with the seriousness it deserves. The review included in-person meetings and interviews, both in group and individual settings, with student athletes and staff members, including coaches, athletic trainers, doctors, UW Athletics senior staff, and the head of every support unit in the athletic department. In addition, nearly 700 current student athletes and approximately 400 UW Athletics staff members were invited to participate in a health and safety-related survey. The report made a total of 57 recommendations, 47 of which pertain to areas within athletics oversight, and another 10 involving partnerships with other units on campus, such as rec sports and UW-PD. Nearly half of the 57 recommendations have been acted upon or implemented to date. The remaining recommendations are under review or in progress. Finally, I'd like to let you all know that my staff noticed that some data was transposed on page 7 of your report of the materials that we were submitted to you today. We are making the corrected information available here today. I'd like to have Associate Athletic Director Doug Teat provide additional and correct information to you. Doug?
Thank you. Regent Bailing, I have a handout. Pass it around, or what would you prefer to?
Certainly.
What you'll be receiving is a updated page 7, as Coach Alvarez indicated. I'd like to bring your attention to item C, measure 3. It's titled Federal Graduation Rate. I'll wait for those to make their way around. Thank you. So the board's requested that we produce a single-year graduation rate for the 3 highest revenue sports for men's and women's sports. So in C, you will see the years on the left-hand column listing the most recent 27-18, meaning those students who entered college in 2011, 2012. The cohort are first semester freshmen who enter on scholarship. Then, as you see in columns 2, 3, and 4, we have the sports that are the revenue sports for both men and women: football, basketball, hockey, and basketball, hockey, volleyball. So on the copy you have now, those are the correct numbers for the single-year graduation rates. If you were to refer to the copy you received in your report, it's actually the 4-year graduation rate, which is what we used for the most current year. So the corrected one is correct. The previous one was also correct. It was just a number that's not what we were actually indicating. And given that, I would just like to actually maybe describe a bit about how graduation rates are very interesting when you look at them. As we look at the information I just provided you, let's look at men's basketball, where it says 25%, where the one in your document before said 71%. So the 71% rate you had previously was a 4-year average. I think 10 of 14 student athletes in the basketball cohort over the past 4 years have graduated. This one's 25%. The 25% includes 4 students. 1 student who currently is playing professionally and who graduated, 2 others who transferred and graduated, and 1 other who didn't graduate but is still playing professionally. So while the federal graduation rate is 25%, in this instance, the 4-year is 71%. And I can juxtapose that with football, where it says 89% right now. 16 of 18 of the football student athletes who entered in 2011 did graduate. 1 other is playing professionally, and 1 other transferred. 89% is really impressive, but if you look at a 4-year rate, it's still 72%, which is very comparable with basketball. So that's basically the point that I wanted to make with all this. And the federal graduation rates are just one of the measures that we use to determine academic success. We look at graduation success rate, we look at APR, a variety of measures, internal measures as well. But I just wanted to clarify this for the committee, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, that's our report. Would you have any questions?
Regents, questions? Regent Whitburn.
I don't think anyone on our board takes for granted your track record on compliance. You report no level 1 or 2 violations. Very cool. How many years in a row?
Katie?
I've been here since '98, so I believe the last major infraction we had was in 2001. So 18 years.
Wonderful. Regents, any other questions? If not, I know we're a little bit tough for time because some of us have a committee meeting after this. So if we don't have any more questions, let's give a great round of applause to our great athletic director.
Thank you.
Moving to item number 13, at this time we'll consider a change to the Board of Regents' regular scheduled meeting. The proposed change means we'll be meeting at Van Nuys in April and visiting UW-Whitewater in December. It's laid out before us, and if I could have a motion to approve Resolution 213. Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, and thank you. Now I'll turn to Regent Vice President Peterson to present a resolution of appreciation to UW-Madison.
Thank you, Regent President Bailing. I will be brief, but I would say, we always appreciate the facilities that we have at UW-Madison, the hospitality that we receive, and throw in a little bit of ice and inclement weather, and it was still an incredibly successful meeting. And so with that, let me read the resolution of appreciation for UW-Madison. Whereas the members of the UW Board of Regents are pleased to recognize the University of Wisconsin-Madison as the official host campus for the board's February 2019 meeting, and are grateful for the generous hospitality extended this month by Chancellor Rebecca Blank and the entire Badger community. And whereas the board appreciated hearing Chancellor Blank's presentation, Investing in UW-Madison. And whereas the Education Committee thanks Provost Sarah Mangelsdorf for leading a presentation on UW-Madison's educational updates and innovations. And whereas the Ready Committee was pleased to hear an update about UW 2020 research and innovation grants to stimulate and support innovative and groundbreaking research at the university over the next 5 years. And whereas the members of the Capital Planning and Budget Committee learned about ways UW-Madison is supporting facilities, operations, and maintenance, and the Business and Finance Committee appreciated hearing a presentation about resources for excellence at UW-Madison. And whereas the board was delighted this morning to hear from this month's Student Spotlight, Mackenzie Straub, a freshman at UW-Madison, majoring in pre-elementary education through the School of Education and a recipient of Bucky's Tuition Promise. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Regents hereby thanks UW-Madison for this month's informative presentations, its forward-thinking spirit, and its many continued contributions to the UW system and to our state of Wisconsin.
Moving next to communications, petitions, or memorials. President Cross, I know you have a memorial.
On behalf of the UW system and the Board of Regents, we would like to extend our condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of UW-Eau Claire Chancellor Emerita Vicki Lord Larson, who passed away earlier this month. As Chancellor Schmidt told the UW-Eau Claire community on hearing the news, Dr. Larson was a remarkable scholar, leader, mentor, and friend, and she was known by many for her distinguished service to the university, including as interim chancellor from 2005 to 2006. During her tenure as an interim chancellor, she provided key leadership in laying the groundwork for a new academic building and the new student center. She was also a tireless advocate for student success. Dr. Larson also served as an assistant dean for graduate studies and university research, and as a respected faculty member and chair of the UW-Eau Claire Department of Communication Sciences and Disorders. She was also a generous supporter of faculty-student collaborative research through the UW-Eau Claire Foundation. She will be missed. Thank you, Regent President.
Thank you, President Cross. And with no further matters before the board, we are adjourned. Thank you and drive safe.